Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. Those of you who've been following my channel for a while know that every once in a while, like to review anime, and my preference is the dub. But then you also know that last year, when I did my video essay review of Demon Slayer Season 1, I did not have direct access to the dub unless I wanted to wait and tape the whole thing as they were doing the replays on Toonami. So I just watched the sub version that they had on Hulu. Because that was also before these came out. In case you guys don't know, this is the special version that they did of the first half of the show, which I really do hate it that they split up the seasons like that, but oh well. They seem to do that. It's still a lot better what they did over a decade ago, where it was like, alright, we're going to release one DVD, we're going to put 3 or 4 episodes on it, and then we're going to charge $20 each and just keep going. Once we release the entire show, we're going to release them by season, and they're going to do a big box set. It's like, they still do that last one, but at least then if it's a long-running show, it kind of makes sense. Normal one of that one. And then recently they also put the dub up on Hulu and now on Netflix. Now, so seeing all that release, I decide maybe I should give the dub a watch and see what it's like, because outside a few clips on YouTube, I hadn't seen it. And of course, being a fan of anime and on YouTube a lot, I went into the comment section and saw that people, like always, were complaining about the dub. But that's one thing that is standard operating procedure for the anime fandom. You're always going to have the dub versus sub people going at it like this, arguing which is superior, when it should be more what is your preference, at least in the modern sense. I always just prefer watching the dub. That's just my preference. When I'm watching it, I'd rather actually hear it and all that and be fully immersed instead of reading and all that. When it's live action, I'll go with the sub, unless it's a dub that I have an attachment to, or just want to see how bad it is, a la Gigantus the Fire Monster. Banana oil! Having said that, and finished what? Having said that, I watched through the dub about a week, off and on, getting through it pretty quickly. And it's been about a month since then. I've been meaning to sit down and record this, but through that whole time, my thoughts on it I've been stewing, and as a whole, I think the dub's actually pretty good. Feels like a pretty accurate translation of the show from what I remember from watching the sub last year, and also having, I'll just move the camera, from having read a couple volumes of the manga, which I'll say that the only thing that doesn't translate as well from there is Inosuke's first appearance. He seems a lot scarier the first time in the manga, but I think that's because of how the boar's head is drawn. You can't really draw it the same way. Well, you can, but it might not come across as well. It's like Jiraiya's introduction in the manga of Naruto when he says, I'm a big pervert. You could do the whole stylized big one in the manga, but on pages like, I'm a big one. Still funny, just not the same effect. But as a whole, I think the dub is pretty good. I have some notes written here about specific voices. The background voice actors, I think I'll do a pretty good job. The localization, translation, does pretty good. Nothing really jumped out at me as jarring. So overall, it's good. Now, I am going to bring up a couple things I have read about in the community here. So, here we go. First person is going to be Tanjiro's voice actor, Zach Aguilar, who before this voiced Arthur in Seven Deadly Sins and Koichi in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't remember much about his Arthur voice in Seven Deadly Sins, but I remember it fitting the character. It's been a while since I watched Season 1, and I'm probably going to marathon watch that again before I go to Season 2, but that'll probably be when I get around to re-editing my review of Season 1, because if you haven't noticed, as of this recording, I had to take down my Season 1 due to copyright issues over using the footage. It's like, YouTube copyright bots strike again. Japan and its whole anti-fair use thing. Now, the main criticism I've seen my fellow fans give Zach for his Tanjiro voice is that he sounds too old for the character. There's other wordings behind it, but that's the consensus. Which, listening through it, I saw that. Yeah, I could see what they're meaning. I mean, he's an early to mid-teenager throughout the whole course of the series, and he doesn't sound like he'd be that age. sounds a bit older. I'd say like late teens, early 20s. But I can see why they would make that character choice. Because his father has passed away and he is the sole provider for his mother and all of his siblings. So he has to grow up sooner, especially in the world he lives in. I mean, it's the Taisho period, so a decade or so before World War II really got into swing. But he still has to grow up faster because of the rural area they live in, the demons and everything else aside. So I can see them going with that choice. And after a handful of episodes, the voice did grow on me. So it's one of those ones that it's going to be a personal preference. It's going to be a subjective thing. And me, I didn't really have much of an issue with it. For the few lines we actually hear her say, Abby Trott as Nezuko actually does a pretty good job. Most of her speaking role is, of course, in the first episode, in the few flashbacks we see throughout the rest of it. The rest of her voice work is mainly like grunts and stuff like that. Little cute little noises. Although I have a feeling a few of them they probably would have just reused the other sounds because it's sound effects. Maybe mix it in with a little bit. But there was one moment I noticed where we get a dubism that I don't know how often they use it now, but I know earlier in dub history they would do this a lot more where it's a scene that was silent in the original, they'd add something. And that is when Nezuko is tangled up in the whole spider thing, she does the whole blood thing. There was dialogue there that Nezuko says that I don't remember her saying in the Japanese version. I'm listening to the fight all that. I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, I think it added to the scene personally from a dramatic standpoint, especially since, I mean, it's her thinking it as she's doing it. But I liked it because it makes sense that she would at least think stuff. I hope that's something that in the remainder of the dub, once we get more episodes and all that they keep doing, because I mean I get why she doesn't talk, but I think she should still have an inner monologue at times. It just makes sense to me at least, and Abby does a pretty good job with that line because you definitely feel that she has been turned into a demon, but it's still the same Nezuko, that same pure-hearted girl. Now, one that it seems everybody agrees on is Alexley as Zenitsu. Perfect. Even those who are not the biggest fan of the dub seem to praise his voice work in the comment sections. For his main voice, he's energetic and theatrical, really getting those over-the-top reactions when Zenitsu's freaking out down, please marry me! I mean, he's funny in the Japanese one, but here, it's just, oh my god, he's the right one. And one choice I do like is that when he is getting serious, you know, the whole, can I be serious for a moment? His voice does darken and gets a little deeper. It's like he's using two separate voices, but considering how his personality does totally change once he gets serious, I think it works. And it definitely lets you know before you even see what's going on. Uh-oh, Zenitsu's changing. This is going to get a serious moment. And of course, him enunciating the part where Zenitsu uses his lightning dancing for the first time, like, ooh, that's pretty cool. One thing I'll have to say before I move on to the next person that I noticed while making notes for this video is that we have a lot of voice actors that were in Seven Deadly Sins here. I mean, Zach, Abby voiced Veronica in Seven Deadly Sins, Inosuke's voice actor Bryce Papenbrook voiced Meliodas, and of course Muzan's voice actor voiced Gother. We got Kyle Haybayer in here, so it was like, what I was doing, I'm sensing a pattern here. I mean, there's already that joke about them using the same 10 voice actors and everything, so there you go, you got a lot of them from Seven Deadly Sins in there. But the funny thing is that Bryce voices Meliodas in Seven Deadly Sins, and he goes from protagonist there to the secondary, actually he's more like the third protagonist here. I forget what the actual term is off the top of my head, but he's still important there. And it's a completely different voice type. And he does do a pretty good job getting that wild man type persona that Inosuke has. Definitely fit that character. And it's definitely different than the voice he does as Meliodas. Shows he has pretty good range when it comes to being a voice actor. Greg Chun voices Muzan. Ooh, despicable voice. Type of guy you want to smack. And also a different voice than what he used from Gother. That one felt a bit lighter. This one's a bit darker. And of course we got Kevin Goff. He's relatively young. He's younger than me, I should say. 26. But I know people are going to say that's wrong. Yeah, compared to a lot of the other voice actors in the community, relatively speaking, it is. Who voices the Spider Family dad. I do love the nasally yet deep voice he gives him. Get away from my family! Like that, kind of. And it fits that type of mouth setup where the Spider Family dad doesn't really have a nose or anything, got the mouth and all that, and it's like all put in. I haven't really heard his overhaul voice, or if I have, it's that little cameo at the end of season 3 of My Hero, and I don't really remember it. And I haven't seen season 4 yet. Don't shoot me. So I can't really compare it to his other work. I have heard that he kind of can be a little bit of a jerk in real life to fans. If so, that's a shame. Obviously, I've never met him, so I can't speak from personal experience. I'm just saying, if so, that's a shame, especially for his age. It's like, you don't want to be like that to your fans, because they're the ones that make you who you are. Of course, other voice work actors, we got Matthew Mercer in there as the leader of the Demon Corps. Nice to see him in there. Erica Halasher as Shinobu, the insect Hashira. Another Seven Deadly Sins alum. She voiced Elizabeth. And then, of course, my doppelganger, Johnny Young Bosch, in there is Tomioka. That's part of the reason why I decided to do a cosplay as him, along with my work on my Spider Dad cosplay. I'm trying to see if the head for that is within grab range, so I don't waste a lot of time on here. No, that's better. Damn it. It's down there, but it's not within grab range. I might use it as part of the thumbnail, who knows. And then, of course, Crispin Freeman, Kyle Haybear. The thing I like about his is I did not notice that was him at first, but according to the credits, he plays the guy who forged Inosuke's swords, which I just love the voice work he gives. You're a dead man! And if you know anything about forging katanas and how long it takes and the process of selecting the tamahagane, you know that if you do that to 2 blades in front of the swordsman, that reaction is warranted. In conclusion, I think the dub of Demon Slayer is pretty good. I think a lot of the voice... In conclusion, I think the dub of Demon Slayer is pretty good. I think a lot of the voice choices are warranted. A few of them take a little bit of getting used to, but after a while, you can settle into them and believe the characters. If you're going to still prefer the sub, alright, we'll have to agree to disagree on that, but hey, we're all different, to each his own. If you all enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe down below. I got plenty of anime and film-related content uploaded already. There's going to be some more commentaries and a few more reviews coming down the line. If you want to support the channel, the Patreon link is going to be down below, and it's going to be in the pop-up screen. You'll gain early access to videos and your name in the credits. And you could also support the channel through the PayPal link down below. And until next time, guys.